If you've watched my Hurricane Barrel video, you know that I have such a bad case of nyctophobia that I sleep with the lights on. What is nyctophobia? Well, it's defined as an intense and often irrational fear of the dark. Let me tell you, there's nothing irrational about it. There's all kinds of scary things in the dark, like spiders, and snakes, and owls, and wolves/coyotes, and hyenas, and cougars. Oops, wrong cougar. The reason that so many people still fear the dark is because the primitive part of our brain remembers when we were still living amongst dangerous predators, and that nighttime was the time that they could easily pick us off. Even when we started living in houses, which gave us a greater sense of security, and could manage sources of light via candles and lanterns, we still feared what might be out there under the cover of nightfall, create a menagerie of monsters that could do us harm. I didn't always dislike the dark though. I remember not giving it much thought, and then that night happened. When I was around probably 4 or 5, my family lived in a 2-story house, and me and my brother shared a room that had a nightlight that would give off a faint blue glow. At some point, my parents had portraits of me and my siblings drawn, and the ones of me and my brother were in our room, facing our little beds. After Mom had shut off the lights and closed the door, my brother went right off to sleep, and while I was waiting for a visit from Mr. Sandman, I, for whatever reason, focused on my portrait. And I swear I'm not making this up, in the faint light of the nightlight, I could swear it winked at me. There are no words to describe the terror that overtook me, because for all I knew, this thing was actually alive and taunting me. I had in my little boy brain that if I went to sleep, that 2D doppelganger would crawl out of his frame and do who knew what to me. Don't remember if I told either my brother or my parents what I thought I saw the next morning, and I don't think they would have believed had I told them. For as long as I can remember, I just had to sit up at night and watch that thing stare at me until sleep finally overtook my young mind. I was always blissfully greeted by a brand new dawn. You can't imagine the relief I felt when my family moved into our second house, and that thing wasn't in the new room me and my brother got. It did look into the new room of my sister, though if it did anything, she never told anyone. Then came that horrible day when me and my brother had separate rooms, and some cruel twist of fate, the room I was given had that same picture frame that tormented me, facing me from across the hall. Not only that, there was also a portrait of me and my siblings. So I wasn't haunted by just one ghastly grinning head, but 3. Nope, wasn't dealing with that. After I made this discovery, I slept with the door to my room closed forever after. Now that wasn't the sole reason little baby me feared the dark. It was the usual motive, like thinking some sort of horrible monster was lurking in the closet during the night. When my family had arrived at our second house, me and my brother shared a room. We had a closet with a latch on it, and every night we would latch the door shut. The monster inside wouldn't be able to come out. I got a room all to myself though. The closet in that room had 2 double doors. I had to press my toy box right up against them at night. The monster in that closet wouldn't be able to jump out and get me. This was also around that period where I thought vampires were just roaming the night, peering into windows and looking for people to bite on the neck. I did eventually read those books by Mercer Mayer that teach children to confront their fears, and that the monsters in the closet only have as much power as children give them, but I still grew up feeling safer with the precautions I took. While I'm not as terrified of the dark as I was as a kid, it still makes me uncomfortable. During the whole Hurricane Barrel stuff, I had to take a lantern with me into the bathroom, and when night started to fall, I would get really anxious. No power during the day? Annoying, but you could still go about your life. No power during the night? Now that's the part that became extremely uncomfortable for me. I remember one night of just sitting up in bed, unable to get to sleep for whatever reason, staring at the door in the lantern lights, waiting for something to happen. I, Giga Chad Alpha Male, wouldn't have been scared in the least bit, you beta. I was sure the Middle Ages were full of men. Raised me a population we consider Chads, but were just as afraid of what lurked out there in the deep dark of the night as anyone else. Nothing is scarier than the unknown, and that's primarily the power the dark holds over us. It's mainly the reason I still don't like taking the dog for a walk until the sun's come up. There's a ditch with a creek behind the neighborhood behind me, and I get really anxious when I have to walk that path every morning, even though I have the dog with me. Could just be the overall spookiness of the dark early morning. Could be that sometimes the mist just comes back out of nowhere, making me feel like I'm walking through a Stephen King novel. The lights from the local school that give off the impression that something is lurking in the water could just shoot up the bank at me, and the feeling of being watched by things. Still looking for a last minute snack. Heck, the night before I wrote this script, I had to take the dog out to do his business, and I only felt comfortable after turning on the outside lights, taking a flashlight with me, and still I kept looking up in the trees, expecting to see an owl leer down at us, or being just anxious, and that something might jump me from behind. Then there's the fact that SCP-280 is a thing. Nightmare that seems to exist wholly in the dark and slaughters humans simply because it can. On the one hand, I know that SCP monsters aren't real and I shouldn't be afraid of them, but on the other hand, this thing has been living rent-free in my head since I learned about it. In conclusion, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with being afraid of the dark, considering it's part of human nature. And this is Night saying, thanks for letting me share my thoughts. Please share yours with me.